We got news, Benji. Start me off. There's been quotes, interviews, abandons. What's the first order of business?
So let's start off with Pogacar's interviews yesterday. That's a topic I do want to talk about because it was quite interesting. After the stage, obviously the stage yesterday, we had the breakaway win after UAE decided not to chase down the breakaway on a stage where I truly believe they could have won with Pogacar. But whether they have to necessarily, there was no need for them to win. But hey, it's just a choice by them whether they want to invest their riders into that or not. They could have considered there's not that many heavy stages that they need to control in the 4 days after yesterday's stage, but eventually it chose not to, and the interviews after yesterday's stage kind of hinted at why that could be the case. I'm quoting Pogacar from multiple different interviews here, but for example, he said, "It was a fairly diplomatic decision not to ride for the stage win, but making such concessions doesn't necessarily make me happy." That's quote number one. Quote number two is, "I might prefer an approach where we determine how and what we do ourselves, but there are too many riders, or there are many riders in the peloton, and we have a cake to share. Sometimes you get the chance, sometimes you don't." And to me, it sounds like he got bullied into giving the stage to the breakaway, right?
Yeah, people have been whining. I mean, the whining is unbelievable. Like, we're in a Grand Tour. I wouldn't say Poggy's been too cannibalistic. He won. He didn't win stage one. He won the first mountaintop finish where they didn't control the breakaway. Ineos did, stage 2. He won the TT. All right, he's got to try in that. I mean, it counts for GC time. And then break formation took so long that he eventually won the sprint on Pratidativo, and he hadn't won a road stage in pink up to that point. Like, it wasn't overboard. It wasn't like Andalusia last year. Even for me, as a non-traditionalist, sometimes Andalusia was a little bit much last year, but it's a Grand Tour, and they're not going overboard. And the whining is just pathetic. It's pathetic. Yeah. Okay, if you want to win, form a fucking better break, go up the road, cooperate, or on the non-Poggy stages, try. Okay? And we'll get to this stage in a second, but it's like, I remember Alessandro De Marchi, the first mountain stage of Tirreno, by the way, Vingegaard wasn't even, he was behind on GC. He was behind on GC, and on Strava, he was complaining that they paced. I was like, bro, he hasn't won a stage, and he has to take time on GC. What are you talking about? And it's funny, De Marchi, yes, and other teams. And then we get to the stage yesterday, Benji. Everyone wants to be in the break.
Yep.
And you're in the break with a nuclear climber. And you're not going to win with VPP. It's like, well, complain about him, or I don't know. It's just, I feel bad for Pogacar for once, which it's ridiculous.
And like, we've come to a point in modern era cycling that I'm wondering, like, diplomatic decisions to not ride for the stage win, does that even pay off? Because in the last 5 to 10 years, I do not remember a specific moment in a race, a specific situation where a GC rider saying, okay, I'll let the breakaway win on a stage they could have controlled, leading to the team of that stage winner of that day eventually paying back in some way the service that was given by UAE in this example. That shit doesn't happen. The only situations I can think of is, okay, if another rider then wins the stage and takes the jersey, that can situationally help the team that had the leader in helping them control a future stage. So that's different. Giving away the jersey for control reasons, that's a different situation. But just giving it away to make sure you get friends in the peloton in the last 5 to 10 years, that's not effective. That doesn't do anything. Like, I haven't seen a single moment in the race where that does anything. Like, there's other scenarios.
Decathlon going to lend Poggy Alex Baudin for week 3 because VPP won yesterday.
No, they will only use their riders for what benefits them at that moment. That could become an occasion where suddenly you have AG Desert riding with a UAE rider because it's useful for them as well, but they won't do it just because Pogacar decided to give this stage to the breakaway, and that is being paid back in that sense. No, that just does not happen. So, I don't get that. I don't get that.
The complaining must have been really bad. I mean, he should just do the lo siento, no hablo inglés whenever someone complains to him, and just ignore it. But maybe maybe the management also think it's a good idea played conservative anyway with the tour in mind, so
Yeah,
it's not the biggest deal.
That's a fair thing. That's a fair thing. From UAE's perspective, they could win yesterday. They decide not to. With the Giro in mind, with the Tour de France in mind, it could end up being wise, saving energy with the team or with Pogacar himself for future races. But that's a possibility. Do I believe that this specific moment would have had a major impact on the Tour de France? Not necessarily, but doing that every single mountain stage, that might cost more energy than, for example, choosing that one. So I don't know the major impact of that, but from UAE's perspective, I have no issue with them doing what they did yesterday, because reality is Pogacar doesn't need to win this race with 7 stage wins. As long as he ends in the Maglia Rosa, he's going to be a happy soul at the end of the race, and so will UAE. And yeah, that I guess it made some people happy yesterday that the breakaway won, but reality is those same people that were complaining about Pogacar being greedy, taking breakaway stages, they lost yesterday. So they're still going to be complaining the next time they're going to be chasing. So this is an endless cycle. So I don't think this helps in that way, if that makes sense.
Yeah, probably not. I mean, especially, I don't know why GC riders can't. Okay, if they pace the gravel stage, that's a bit different because it's like not necessarily a pure. But like, why can't GC riders go for the mountain stages? Anyway,